Shulam Aleichem, everybody. Today's daf is daf Samach Gimel. We start from daf Samach Beis with Beis around 12 lines in the bottom. Debei Rabbi Yanai, Yosfi Peirei Shvius Maniyim. He would borrow Peiris Shvius, Peiris of Shemitah, on Shemitah, Uparlu B'Shminis, and he would pay back with regular Peiris from the 8th year. Also, they told Rabbi Yochanan what he was doing, because they held that the Peiris Shminis that Rabbi Yanai is paying back, the Beit Rabbi Yanai are paying back the Aniyim, are really Chalipe Peiris Shvius. That's considered Chalipin of Shvius. And Chalipin of Shvius we know has Kedusha Shvius. And since it's after Zman Abir, right, the Aniyim can't eat it b'Shminis. Amar Luhus, Rabbi Yochanan says, nope. It doesn't have a din of Chalipe Peiris Shvius, Yos and Avdin. They're doing good. They're not doing Shalek Halacha. Kenegdon be'esnan. And we find a similar halacha by Esnan. Yeah? Which is mutter. The Tanya, what does he mean? What's the Braisa? The Tanya Noslav Lebola, Bola Esnan is not a mutter. Yeah? He says that just like it's mutter to do what Rabbi Yanai is doing by Shemitah, so it's mutter to do it by Esnan. So why is it mutter to do whatever Rabbi Yanai did by Shemitah? Because Rabbi Yochanan held, and so did the Beit Rabbi Yanai hold, that it's not Peiris Shminis are not Chalipe Peiris Shvius, because by the time I'm paying you back with Peiris Shminis, the Peiris Shvius is not Ba'olam anymore, right? Rabbi Yanai, the Beit Rabbi Yanai ate it. So they borrowed the Peiris Shvius, they ate it, and then after they ate it, after it was not Ba'olam anymore, they paid back with Peiris Shminis, so therefore it's not Chalipin. In order for it to be Chalipin, it has to be Ba'olam. Whatever you are exchanging it with has to be Ba'olam. This is not Ba'olam anymore because they ate it. So Ba'esnan also, the Tanya Nacham, the Tanya, the Bryce Ba'esnan is Nasan Lav Lebola, Bola Bolas Lasnana Mutter. Gemara says, Nasan Lav Lebola? What does that mean? Right? You gave her a gift, a tleh, a sheep for her services, but Veloy Bolel. She never provided you with the services pshita tzpashit that the behemoth that you gave her is mutter to bring as a carbon. There was no exchange done over here. She didn't give you anything. Vesu, and also the Sefer of the Brisa, which is she gave you the services, but you didn't give her an asnan, you didn't give her a carbon. My esnana mutter. What does it mean? It's mutter. There's no esnan here. So here you have a raya too from this brisa to Rabbi Yochanan the Beit Rabbi Yanai, which means that if she was ba'alav, he was ba'alav, and then he gave it to her, or vice versa, since it's not ba'olam anymore, the bia is not ba'olam. Once you give it the carbon, so we can't call it the chalipin for the bia, and therefore it's okay to bring as a carbon on the mizbeach. So the Gemara says, 1 second, slow down. Let's go back to the ratio. Nosan lo v'chakach ba'olel. So the Gemara says, ba'olel leichal iser esna lamafreya. Once it's obvious that the animal that he gave her in the beginning was an exchange for the bia that happened later, so lamafreya, the animal should become an esnan and be usher to bring on the mizbeach. Yeah, he gave her the animal, but she brought it on the mizbeach before he was ba'al. Hey chadami. Gemara says, 1 second, slow down. Idam laknilach me'achshav. If he said to her, you can have it now, pshita the shari, then it's just a matana. He didn't do an exchange for the bia. To lesser b'shas bia, right? The matana balma do yavla. If he didn't say that she can have it from now, then how she bring it as a carbon before the bia? It says v'ishki yagdash is basic kodesh amarachmana. Yeah, ma basic b'shasav kol v'shus. It has to be in his he has to own it, or she has to own it. Right in this case, so she didn't own it yet because when he gave her the animal, he didn't say you can have it right now. Right, first there has to be a bia that has to take place, and then she gets it. So how could it be that she was makarid before the bia, before she owned it? Really, he said to her, look, I want you to keep it until bia. At that point, when you give me the bia, that's when I'll give you the animal. But if you need it beforehand, you can have it ready from now. The chiddush is that once he says that second statement, right? It's considered like she got it before the bia and has nothing to do with the bia. It's like a matana ba'alma, and it's okay. It's not an esnan. But alkol punim, what do you see from this brisa? From at least in the Sefer, you see a riot to Rabbi Yoel Gold, Rabbi Yanai, the case of he had bia with her, and then he gave her the animal that since the bia is not ba'olam anymore, it's not called chalipin of the bia, it's not an esnan, it's mutter. Okay, so the Gemara, Boy Rav Oshia, Kodma Vikdishatu Mahu. What happens if he gave it to her and she wasn't makrivet? She was just makdashit. Since we know that a mir l'gvoya is like a mesir lehedyet, so it could be that it's as if she was makrivet already, and therefore it's not osam shem esnan. Or maybe since the tle is still alive, she just makdashit, but it's still in her farmland, whatever it is, pasturing out there. So it's not considered. It's not considered as if it's gone. It's still a chalipin, and therefore it's aser. Or maybe no, since it's already hektish, it doesn't belong to her, so it's like she was makrivet. It says klar in Rebelazar, right? The brisa, it says only krivatu. If it's true also by hekdishatu, then why doesn't the brisa say that as well? Gemara says no. The Rebelazar gufeka mebayale. Right? Rav Oishi is mistapik in Rebelazar himself. My mifshe pshita le Rebelazar the krivatu dafka hekdishatu loy the isa b'shas bia. Rebelazar himself, he says the krivatu because it's pashatem hekdish wouldn't work. I don't krivatu pshita like the shatu b'sapkle. Or maybe hekdish is a suffix by Rebelazar himself. Teiku, that's a suffix that's not nifshat over here. Aklaponim, but by akrava, certainly it works if she was makravet before the bia. If she was makdashid, that's not so certain. That's not so clear. So the Gemara weiter, bolev achakach nosen lost, no mutter. Yeah, then it's mutter. That was the seifa. And that was the raya, right? That was the raya to Rabbi Yoel Gold Rabbi Yanai, because the bia is not ba'olam anymore. That happened first, and he gave her the animal afterwards, so it's not an esnan. It's not chalipin if whatever you exchange it for is not ba'olam anymore. Ramini asks the Gemara, I have a steer on that. Bolev achakach nosen lo. I feel mekanat shaloshanim is neno osir. Mamash before shabraisa, not like that. That even though the bia is over, still, if he gives her up to 3 years later, it's aser. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Amar Rav Chisda loy kasha. Had the Omar his bali li betlezeh, had the Omar la his bali betlestam. Depends what lashon he said to the Zaina. If he said his bali betlezeh, meaning he was mamish, making sure that this is the tle that he's going to give her, then it's aser, mishum esnan. But if it's stam, then it's mutter. Whereas if chamud labetlezeh may havi, who cares if the guy said to her betlezeh, as long as she wasn't moishachit, right? So it hasn't been a chalipin yet because she wasn't kainet. Whereas if zainav es chamud lekanya b'mashicha. Talking about a guy, goyeta. Cannot be kind of a mashicha, only with the kesef. So the bia is really the kesef, right? Because the hanoas bia is shava pruta, it's for sure shava kesef. And as soon as she gives him that shava kesef, she's kind of the animal right away for that so-called money she gave him. And that's called an asnan. The goin, the koi b'chatzeira. Or even Israelis, and it was in the chatzar. Gemara says the koi b'chatzeira is kinyi chatzar. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's right away. It's right even before the bee, as soon as the animal comes into her chatzar. He said, even though it's in your chatzar, I don't want you to be kind. It's just an apoitiki. Apoitiki means, he says, I want you to be goiva from this animal only if, right, it's meshubah to you only if I don't bring you money. So Mamela b'shas the bia, or koydem abi, even though it was in her chatzah, she couldn't be kainet. Mosiv Rav Sheishes has a kasha from a brisa on the practice of Rabbi Yanai. Again, what did Rabbi Yanai do? Rabbi Yanai borrowed Perish Shvis from Aniyim, and then he paid back with Perish Shel Shminis. The Gemara says, yeah, he can tell his workers, whether they're goyim or amiratzim, yeah, take this dinner that I'm giving you and go buy food or go buy a drink. Doesn't have to worry that they're going to use the money that he gave them to buy Perish Shvius. They're going to buy Perish that are not Mosarim. They're going to buy Yain Nesach. Right? He doesn't have to be worried. If he says, go and pick up food or pick up something to drink, and I'll pay whatever you bought from the guy you bought it from. There, you have to be chayshish. Right? In the Reisha, he's not giving them macholim, he's not paying for the macholim itself, he's giving them the dinner. They're going and buying it. He doesn't have to be chayshish. But over here, he's saying, I'll cover the expenses of the food right away. Like, you buy the food, you take the food, and I'll cover whatever food you take. There, it's already the responsibilities on him. So what do you see from here? Alma, ki kapara, de me iser kapara. Right? If they take Perish Shvis, if the Goyim or the Maratzim end up taking Perish Shvis, or Perish She'enim Musarim, or Yain Nesach, and I'm paying, you're taking it on credit so that I can pay the store owner, then it's Demei Isser Kapara. It's called Demei Isser, right? Because it's Nechshav, it's considered Chalip and Perish Shvis. The money that I'm giving, the Chenveni, the store owner, is in exchange for the Perish Shvis that he gave to the workers. So you see that even though the payers are not ba'olam anymore, they already ate it, even in such a case, it's also because it's chalipe peirush shvius. So Achanami, in the case of Rabbi Yana, the same halacha should apply. It should be aser ki kapara, the meisur kapara. Take Rav Chizda, bechen v'nei hamakifai. Rav Chizda answers, Mefarish the Brisa, we're talking about a chen v'nei hamakifai, the mishtabedle. And the Brisa, the reason why it's us is because this guy is used to buying food on credit from the store owner. So Mamela, the Balabayas, is mishabed right away anything he has to pay the macholam that the workers buy. The kim the urchelakufe konole dinner gabe. So right away there's an exchange happening, an invisible exchange happening through shibud, because the derech of the chenvani is to give the Balabayas on credit, and he's soymich that the Balabayas will pay him the chayv. So the chenvani is already kind in his mind the dinner of the Balabayas. The Balabayas is going to give him, and therefore it's more nechshav kechalib peir shvius, even though the peir shvius are not around when he gives them physically the dinner. But since before they ate it, when he gave them the peir shvius, das was for sure that the chenvani or the Balabayas will pay him, because usually does. So therefore it's nechshav kechalib peir shvius. What's the halacha with chenvani she'ein makifai? But it doesn't usually give the balabais on credit. Mutter, then it's mutter to pay. The balabais can pay for the food that they took, perishvis that they took, and they ate afterwards, because it's not considered exchange, because it's not ba'ilam anymore. Ihachi asks the Gemara, if so, when the Brisa and the Sefer wants to be mechalik between the Reisha and say what's mutter and what's aser, so you could say what's aser is if the Chenveni usually gives the balabais on credit. What's mutter is when he doesn't. So just say if it's rogol lahakifa or not. Why do you have to give me a whole different case? That should have been the chiluk. And stamazoi, the idea that the chenveni doesn't give on credit unless he's not meshabed and a chasam, unless he gives him usually on credit, but not if he doesn't usually give him on credit. Rava says that if a guy says, give $100, Reuben says, give $100 to Shimon, Medin Arav, right? And I'll give you, Reuben says to Shimon, give money to Levi and I'll give you my nechasim. So Medin Arav, he is kainet right away, right? So Medin Arav, the chenvan, even though it's not rogal akifa, it should be kind of the dinner right away, and it's considered chalipa perish shvius. Alama Rava, so Rava says a different way to be farish the brisa. Loishna makifa, loishna she'em makifa. You're right. It doesn't matter if he's makifa or not. If he gives him a credit or not. Avagav the meshabed le kivin le miyachet shibuda le metzer. As long as he's not miyachet the shibud, it doesn't become aser. In other words, shibud alone doesn't help for it to be considered perish shvius. It has to be miyachet shibud. It has to give him a chayfetz mesuyim, something which is specific for the tashlim achoiv, and other than that, it doesn't become aser. So why is in the brisa why we choishish b'shem shviyas? Well, miyachet shibudei hacha. He's not miyachet shibudei. So if it's not miyachet shibudei, why is it aser? Amar Papagan shehigdem loy dinner. In the brisa we're talking about a unique case where he's maked him a dinner. He gave the chenvani the dinner before he sent the poyalim there. So in the middle, the chenvani already has the dinner. B'shas gives perish shviyas, so it's considered chaliva perish shviyas. Amar Kana Midrash might come there. In Marado, Amrli he said, "Iachi adatoni tzu veichlu tzu shivani pereya tzu veichlu tzu shivani mechashem iboylei." Should have said, not I'm going to pay. The pereya sounds like I'm going to give him the dinner later. Should have said mechashev. I'm going to deduct the dinner that I'd given him earlier. Amr Tleis, he said, it said, Tani, tzu uvani mechashev, you're right, you have to be goyers in the brisa of ani mechashev. Ravashi Omar, Ravashi says, Kegoin shenotel v'nosan bayad. It's talking about where the Balabayas took the food from the chenvani and he gave it to the pailim with his own hands. So here, he was kind of the macholim and he gave them perish shviyas. So it's not a chashash of chaliba perish shviyas, it's a chashash of perish shviyas itself because the balabais is kind of from the chenvani and then he's machol the pailim with perish shviyas. And that has nothing to do with the Be'er Rabbi no shaychus. Why does it say tzu'u ve'echlu tzu'u ishsu? It says tlu, right? It's not like they're going to the chenvani. But Abayis is taking from the chenvani and is giving it directly to the pailim. So why did it say tlu? Amalei, so Rashi said, you're right, tlu ichlu, tlu ichlu, tlu ishsu. Okay, bottom line, the Rabbi and Rabbi Yochanan are not upgefrekt. In other words, their Yesoid, the Yesoid we're learning over here is that when it comes to Chalipa Perish Shviyas or Esnan, it's only a problem, it's only considered Chalipin for the Davar Asr if the Davar Asr is kind of Oilam, but if the Perish Shviyas are gone, the Rabbi they ate it, or the Bia happened before the Bia is over, and then give her an animal, that's not called Esnan, it's not called Chalipa Perish Shviyas, and it's all good. Yosef Rav Nachman of Ulavim, Yosef Rechiva Amri Gabayu, Yosef Kamaboilu, Schoro Lishbar B'Yai Nesach. What if a guy hires a Yisrael to break all the barrels of Yai Nesach? Since he wants the barrels to stay whole, because he wants to get the reward, the schar, for destroying them, Asr, then it's Asr because he's getting some sort of anah. Since he only wants it b'kiyumai to break it, then it's gavaldig. No problem. Let him break it b'tavel of bracha. In other words, it's mutter. It's a mitzvah, and you can have anah from the schar. You have a riot to Rav Nachman's psak. You're not allowed to prune. Right? We're talking about Taisa's klei zroim. Because klei kerem is aser bahana. Klei zroim is mutter bahana. Okay. Aval oikr nimai, but you're allowed to be oikr than a tiyas of kalayim. Right? That you're allowed to do. So what do you see? You see it's a raya to Rav Nachman. Savrua, Hamani Rebakiva Yidomer Makayim Bekalayim Loika. Yeah, that kiyam kalayim is an isser, and you're loika. Why are you loika? Because Rabbi Kiva holds. Interesting. Slav she'im b'maisa. So whole sugya here. Either way, the Gemara says, "Savru mani Rabbi Kiva dam Rabbi Kalayim loika," and yet lemeuta satifla hagam etziroitze b'kiyumai. It's okay. The tiny one the braysa menakesh and chapa b'kalayim loika the Rabbi Kiva. Chapa b'kalayim loika. Kiva Omer Afa Mekayim. Not just Menakish Mechapa, but also some is Mekayim. By time the Kiva Makros, Sol Chala Sizra Kalayim, Ein Lezrea Mekayim Benayin, Tamad Loimar, Loi Kalayim. Words Loi Kalayim, Yidarshans, can't even have the kiyam of it. So even though Kiva Asers, you see that K'delamai Tesatifla, yeah, you're allowed to be oiker with him, Hagam, you're right to be kiyumai. So you can do the work. Ve'lamatifla Shari, whereas no Loi, Homani Rabbanani. It's really the Rabbanon. More asks, Rabbanah say it's mutter. Rabbanah, my area oiker, I feel cumin nabi shapidami. Why does the Bryce say only oiker is mutter? You're allowed to be mekayim it. By skin kegoin to ka'ovid bechinam. Rabbi Yoel Gold. It's a whole another shaila over here, right? You're doing it bechinam. Can you do work for a guy bechinam? According to Rabbi Yoel, it says that lesechanim, yeah, you're not allowed to give him matnas chinam. So Gemara says, "Med Rabbi Yoel Nishmal Rabbi Kiva, Lav Omer Rabbi Yoel Aslan Matnas China Ma'alat Mut Tifla Shaper Dami, Kiva Nami Avgad Rabbi Kiva Mekayim Lam Loikel Mut Tifla Shaper Dami V'Sulay Midi." In other words, from Rabbi Yehuda, you can also learn from Rabbi Kiva that just like Rabbi Yehuda, it's aser to give Matnas Chinam, and yet Lamut Tifla is mutter. So to according to Rabbi Kiva, it's also Lekayim Kalayim, but Lamut Tifla Shaper Dami. Okay, we'll stop over here.